It's standing under the light. On a cool fall evening, there was a young man raking leaves in a yard around a house. This man will be known as Adrian. Adrian was known as a hard-working man. He never did ask for much, and if he did, he always made sure to pay you back as soon as he could. On this particular evening, he was raking the leaves of one of his neighbor's house as a repayment of a favor he had asked of them. Suddenly an old man opened the front door of the home and said, "Thank you, son, for helping me with the leaves. I know you're trying to repay me and the missus, but take this little money for your hard work." Adrian walked toward the old man and said, "It's no problem, Mr. Birkins." Adrian was a little bit hesitant to take the money, but he knew Mr. Birkins would further insist, so he went ahead and took it anyway. The sun was almost entirely below the horizon when Adrian got home. He opened the door and was tired from today's work and from repaying Mr. Birkins. He threw his dirty clothes in the dirty clothes basket, took a shower, and made himself a warm meal. When he was cleaning the kitchen from the meal he had prepared, Adrian peered through the kitchen window, gazing through at his large field-like front yard and the clear night sky above. While admiring the dark of night, Adrian began to feel strange. His vision began to blur, and he felt like he was going to fall, but quickly caught his balance. He then regained himself. He was about to close the blinds when he saw something odd. Up the long driveway from his house, he saw a weird-shaped figure standing under the street light. Adrian knew since Halloween was approaching, there would be some kids his age or younger who would likely play some tricks because of the nearing holiday. Even though Adrian lived alone, he was well capable of protecting himself if need be. He owned one assault rifle, 2 handguns, and 1 shotgun. Feeling cautious, Adrian would soon begin to close the blinds of his kitchen window, and began to make sure the locks to his house were in fact locked. Even though Adrian suspected it to be someone possibly playing a trick on him, the realization kicked in. There were no other houses close by. It would be at least half an hour by car to reach his property, and at least 15 minutes from Mr. and Mrs. Birkins' house to his. There would be no way a person could walk that far in the dark, not only because the lights on the road were fairly spread out from one another, and that there could be bobcats, bears, or wolves in the area. Adrian made it upstairs to his room and peered out the window again. The figure was still standing there like a statue. From afar, it also looked like a person wrapped in a tattered blanket, and it looked like it was shivering from the cold outside. Suddenly, the figure sharply turned its head at the upstairs window where Adrian was located. Adrian for a second froze from fear, and then quickly backed away from the window, his heart pounding in his chest, his arms and legs trembling from what he witnessed beyond the glass. Soon he would hear something crunching, almost if something was breaking. It didn't sound like it was something coming from the house. Rather, it was coming from something outside. He then unwillingly peered at the window again and saw a horrific display. The figure began to contour itself. Its arms and legs were getting longer, while the torso remained the same size. Adrian had a good look at the creature. Its skin looked as if it was burned. Adrian was sick to his stomach, taking this all in. The creature then, one more time, looked at the window where Adrian was, then ran towards the front door of the home. With full adrenaline, Adrian quickly but quietly went to his gun safe and took out both his shotgun and rifle. He loaded his shotgun and slung the rifle on his back. Soon Adrian would hear a loud banging nearing the front of his home. Panicked but still trying to remain calm, Adrian now would make his way to the other room upstairs, containing the security cameras that survey all of his property. With haste, Adrian selected the camera that was aimed at the front door. His stomach sunk into him. He saw the creature eerily looking straight into the camera. Now, with a close-up view of the entity, it was lanky. Its hands and feet were completely black as the night. It had two glowing white dots for where its eyes should be. A no-signal text appeared on the screen for a split second. In the most possibly worst time ever, in Adrian's desperate time of need. With his whole body going cold, Adrian desperately tried to get the monitor working again. It took about 15 seconds, but that 15 seconds felt like an eternity. In horror, the monster was gone. Adrian checked all of the other monitors, but to no avail. He listened closely to his surroundings. Nothing. Sweat drips from Adrian's forehead, all the way down to his chin. Nothing. The faint hum of the surveillance system tries to fill the room. Adrian grips his gun tighter, awaiting the moment of combat. Nothing. Every breath Adrian takes comes out shallow and full of anxiety. Suddenly, a small creaking sound can be heard in the downstairs area of the home. "It's in," Adrian said in his head. Adrian didn't want to give away his position. He stayed quiet as he heard the entity slowly make its way around the home. With every sound the creature made, Adrian felt his fate being sealed by the second. He doesn't want to make any false movements because it could give away his position. And he also doesn't want to rush the creature because he doesn't know what this thing is capable of. He then looks at the window. He's not that far up from the ground where he'll be injured from the fall. But he will make noise, and the creature will rush him once he reaches the ground. He quickly discarded the thought. If only he had his car keys with him. Sadly, they were downstairs in the den where the creature was. Suddenly, Adrian heard the creature slowly making its way upstairs. Adrian started to tremble in fear of his impending death. He also began to reminisce. He thought about his family, his friends, and his neighbors. The creature's presence grew nearer. As if on cue for the impending confrontation, a loud roar coming from the entity could be heard, as if it was getting impatient with Adrian's hiding. Out of nowhere, a wave of calm came over Adrian. He looked at his gun, then slowly raised his head up to the ceiling and closed his eyes. He then positioned himself at the wall on the far side of the room. Took a deep breath. Adrian heard the entity finally making it to the door that led to his room. Like a starved animal that found its prey, the creature began to violently break down the door. The most ready he has ever been in his whole life, Adrian clenched his gun, ready for the fight of his life.